I'm going to go over this fight, the final boss fight of Redacted. A lot of people have talked about how difficult it is, and I agree it's very difficult. So I thought it might be interesting to kind of do a deep dive into this. In my most recent video, trying to defeat him, I have the grenade launcher, and really it's not all that remarkable of a build. I'll put some of the stuff that we had for the build, but only 6 grenades, so we hadn't upgraded that very much, but we did get the schematic that lets us do three grenades at a time, 25% less damage. Our health is pretty high. We went for that. We do have the 2 death's caresses, and we're wearing the anarchy suit, which is the one that makes you take 25% less damage in this biome, which I think helps a ton. It's pretty important. So why don't we go ahead and watch it and see if we can figure out some tips and tricks for you against this boss. So I feel like this part of the fight, he really only uses that the machine gun kind of at the beginning of the fight. He telegraphs a lot of his moves, like especially the swipe is pretty well telegraphed. It might be a little bit hard to dodge, but if you're paying attention to his movements, you can kind of see like it's a pretty big wind up, and then this you dodge as long as you can without taking damage. This move here really isn't too hard to avoid. You just got to keep moving. Try to destroy those pylons regularly so that you're taking out these long strips of the floor gets like electrified or something, and you take damage when you step over it. That's a bummer. We do have a decent amount of damage, which I note in this boss fight that we already have him down by like over a quarter of his health. But his moves change partway through the fight, and it becomes a little bit more difficult. Although there's a couple moves that if you know what to do, you can really take advantage of them. I'll show you those in a minute here. So this one is an annoying one for me because he smashes the ground, and then it turns into these big circles that expand, and you have to dash through them. Not too bad, but then when he does a move like this where he's firing off all of these balls, this is actually the time when you can get a lot of damage done. So you get close to him and you start meleeing, because melee will destroy the projectiles, and meanwhile you're doing a ton of damage. So he didn't do it for very long there, but later on in the fight you'll see he does that, and he does a ton of damage, or we do a ton of damage to him, I should say. That move, it threw me off for a while, but I've kind of realized that there's certain moves that he does that I don't even try to do damage against him, because there's no point. I mean, you're just gonna take so many hits if you try. So just focus on avoiding the damage. And it's nice when you have like a fast weapon to deal out a bunch of damage quickly. That sort of is an important piece of the puzzle. But even still, just be patient, right? Like we're still at 48 health. We've dodged most of his attacks, not all of them obviously, but most of them, and done decent damage in the meantime. And a lot of that was with the grenade launcher, but some of it was with the melee attack. So now he's in phase 2, and he does this attack, which is annoying, but not impossible to avoid. Although I take a bunch of damage. But once again, don't try to do anything to him during this. He'll be done in a minute, and then okay. But this is where, when he does this is super scary, and if you're trying to avoid the balls, it sucks. But if you just get close to him and you start meleeing him, suddenly you're completely safe, and you're just backstabbing him, and he just stands there while you do that. It's a great way to deal damage to him, honestly. So that's something that I recommend. And then once again, like some of these other moves, he switches to a triple swipe instead of just the single swipe. Obviously, you want to be careful about that and kind of time that correctly. But once you've figured out the timing of the triple swipe, it's not too bad. But yeah, I think that it's not as hard as it seems at first. Yeah, once again, like I didn't dodge those, but with the anarchy suit, the one that lets you take 25% less damage, and if you pump up your health quite a bit, and if you have last caresses. So these are all obviously things that require you to farm quite a bit for, but I think that this is your best bet for being effective against the final boss. That suit probably is the number one thing I'd go for. I'd get that early. That way you're getting to this fight and practicing, and then start, save up your contraband so that you can get your second last caress. There is another suit that you can get, the black suit or the last corpse suit or whatever, that gives you another death's caress. I think that could be good, but I still think that taking a quarter less damage on everything is better even than another last caress. That's just my take on it. I think the easiest weapons to beat him with, or it with, I guess, I don't know. To beat it with is probably the barman shankers, because it's a fast melee weapon and you can get it so that it does bonus backstab damage. And if you could just catch them while they're doing that big attack where they're sending out all the electrified balls, and you just sit behind them and you're stabbing them with the barman shankers, that is extremely effective, and you can take down this boss without too much trouble with that. But just those attacks where he shoots out the big red lasers or the big orange lasers, and you're trying to avoid that, don't try to attack him during that. You're just running back and forth. And if you kind of like the first one is like three lasers and it goes in a big circle, you just kind of get a little bit far away from him and you run in that circle. You stay in the safe spot until he's done. And then in the second one, it's like a dozen lasers, and you just, I obviously took a bunch of damage. I didn't need to, but if you can just stay medium distance away from him, and then like at a certain point he'll stop and he'll go the other direction. So just be ready for that. The machine gun attack, I don't attack while he's doing the machine gun attack, and that's fine. Just be patient. Honestly, a lot of this fight is about patience. I would try to clear the floor, because all of that all those extra bits of damage will add up. So yeah, most important things: getting the death caresses, getting the extra health. I think my base health is like 130 right now, and then I pick up the health booster whenever I can. And then we got to 230. Obviously my damage was pretty good. I got a good experiment on the grenade launcher and had a lot of attack speed on the grenade launcher, which helps. So you do need, obviously you need damage, but I think a lot of it is just learning those attacks, learning the timing of those, and making that work. But yeah, it's not too bad if you kind of know when you can attack and when you really shouldn't attack. Anyway, I hope that helps any of you out there who are trying to beat the final boss. I haven't beat it that many times, but I think at this point I feel pretty confident that, so long as I have a decent amount of damage on my attack and on my attacks, then I can get through it without too much trouble. I don't know. That's just my take. Obviously, it took me a lot of tries to get to this point, so a lot of practice, and getting to this boss is a feat in and of itself. So good luck to you. I hope that you are successful and that you find a way to beat this boss. It is very satisfying. This game has a lot to offer. I think I'm enjoying it a lot. We've gotten half of the survivors' dossiers fully unredacted, so that we can do the last little bit. I'm curious what'll happen after that, and maybe there'll be an alternate boss fight too. I'm not sure. I know there's a lot more to this game. So friends, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.